Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Uninformed. This is the 7th episode of said podcast, and joining me is the beer of the group, Andrew Finn.
Good evening, all.
Also joining me is the spoon and sugar-filled absinthe, Harrison Leake.
Where did I leave my keys?
And also we have the pink lemonade, Tucker.
It's because I'm the designated driver.
Yeah, he's the designated driver.
So I've got your keys. I have your keys.
Thank you.
Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, what I think we should first talk about is this is a very poor time for us to record because Watch Dogs comes out in about 9 hours, and we won't have a review for you until next week, I'm afraid. Harry, you pre-ordered it, right?
Yes, I did.
And Finney, you didn't. You're probably going to wait for us to see whether it's any good, right?
I'll wait for a Steam sale.
Okay. And Tucker, you're going to wait to see whether we like it or not, or are you going to get it from a sale site or something?
Yeah, I'm kind of swaying from side to side at the moment. I mean, it is relatively cheap if you pre-order right now, so very tempted, but yet again, I've been burnt in the past, so I might wait for maybe the next day review after you wake up and you've played it and gone, oh no. So.
Alright, well, Harry and me will play it this week, and we'll get as far in as we can, and we'll try some of the multiplayer, and we will get back to you in episode 8.
Indeed.
Now, Harry, any follow-up from last week?
Oh, yes. Last week we talked about converting light into matter. And, John, that is a confirmed article. That was a quite legit. It wasn't just some Star Trek fan wannabe, making stuff up. But the one thing I was disappointed to hear was, rather than being able to just make, say, unlimited gold or something using this process, the process actually requires an entire slab of gold just to work.
Oh.
Yeah, catch-22.
Oh, so it's like reverse alchemy. I can make unlimited gold as long as I have unlimited gold.
Exactly. So I can become a billionaire if I become a billionaire first.
Anyway, was there any further follow-up from you, Harry?
From me, let's see. Oh, yes. The wonderful people at Google fixed my problem. So last week I was telling you all about how my phone refused to navigate me to my place of residence. It wanted me to take to a nightclub instead. And this was across all Nexus devices, not just my phone. Everyone in Sydney was having the same thing. And so when I called up Google, you can actually call up Google, believe it or not.
Really?
Not like straight to the head office or anything, but I'm just surprised they have an official support line. And the lady was like groaning on the other side going, you know how many times I've heard this today?
So no issue then.
It was a known issue and they fixed it. So I think that's about a week, probably 7 days of that club having the best freaking revenue that they've ever seen. And they wouldn't even know why.
That's true. The funny
They'll go out of business.
Sorry, go ahead. Finny?
They'll go out of business now.
Yeah, the funny thing with that club is that club only opens at 11 o'clock at night. So you must have gotten the night crowd driving around.
Yeah.
Tucker, any follow-up from you?
Well, I guess a quick update on the Dota 2 International. It's now at 6.76 million. So it just keeps growing and growing and growing. And given these stretch goals, I myself might give in and actually buy Compodium. Because I'm really looking forward to the next one, which is very close to, which is at 6.8 million, and it's the Daily Hero Challenge. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, very interesting. I might give in and finally buy one.
Well, yeah, you're the only Dota 2 player here, so I guess enjoy that. But listeners, if you're interested, it's still available, the Compendium. Also, did you hear about the Hearthstone prize pool at BlizzCon this year?
Yeah, it's $250,000. And that's pretty impressive for a brand new game.
Crazy.
Nice.
Crazy. And all of us can do it, Harry. We just need to practice some more.
I don't think practice has anything to do with it.
Well, no, what they do is they get the top 16 players who are legend rank, which is the rank above rank 1, and they fly them to BlizzCon and you get to compete.
Wow.
So, from each server. So.
Okay, let's make a quick prediction. How often do you reckon we're going to see rush decks compared to planned out strategy decks where most things will happen around turn 8 or turn 7?
Well, they'll play to the current meta. So at the moment, the big thing was Hunter Unleash the Hounds decks, and that's been nerfed.
Yeah.
So a lot of people are moving to more either control-y decks, like trying to get rid of minions, or I mean the Warlock Murloc bullshit is still a thing. So people are still doing that, but there's easy ways to beat it as a paladin. So I think we're going to see a mix, because the way they do it is they play 3, right? They play 3 games, and you got 3 decks, you arrive with 3 decks, and you just sort of matched up with someone. So I think we'll see a good mix. That's why it's such a cool game, because it is quite dynamic. What do you think, Harry?
Since we've already cracked rock, paper, scissors, they just need to remember that. So, if one side has a rush deck, and then they go for round 2 of 2, then, what the winning person has to do is do the exact same it has to do the exact opposite. Wasn't that what we discovered that other week?
Oh, with the rock,
Do
paper,
the winning
scissors.
move that would have won the previous round.
Yes. So basically the person who wins the first thing has to swap to a completely different strategy on round 2.
Well, the problem with that is in Hearthstone, these tournaments, if you're a mage deck, you've got your mage deck, and the other guy has these 3 other decks. If you win, you got to stay with your mage deck.
Oh, you have to use the same set of cards.
Yeah, so if you win with rock, you got to use rock the next time.
Oh, I see. So you can't have like a rush mage deck and a build-up mage deck.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, that sucks.
Yeah, and that's exactly what I wanted to see. Like, 3 mage decks, and I want that person to win, so it would validate my being a mage against John. So
You guys just want to use mage decks. You guys
exactly, I don't want to learn another deck.
Terran in StarCraft and mages in Hearthstone, and I'll bet you'll play as humans in World of Warcraft as well. It's
I
pretty
do have a
much-
human paladin, bang,
Oh.
stock standard.
Was it the first one you made when you first played WoW?
Actually, yeah,
It was, wasn't it?
It was.
You guys. Oh. Anyway. Okay, well, some very quick follow-up for me. We were talking about Titanfall a little while ago. It did come out before we started the podcast, but it sold very well in March, and then people started to think, oh, it'll go down in April, but apparently it didn't. The NPD numbers for April just came out, and it is the number 1 game in April. So in number 1 slot is Titanfall. In number 2 is, what do you think, Call of Duty? In number 3 is NBA 2K14, and I think number 4 from memory was either something like the Hobbit Lego game or something else. So it's not as bad as we once thought. What do you think, Tucker?
Okay, so are these directly tied into, say, the Xbox One sales?
Also.
Because, I mean, the way I've seen it in retail stores is most times when you buy the Xbox One, like, Titanfall is what comes with it. So it'd be interesting to see if these were standalone purchases. Like, I mean, I bought Titanfall last week because it was on sale. So are these like purely one-for-one sales, or is it kind of like a lot of this was due to the success of Xbox One so far?
Well, I don't think it's that may be the case that some Xbox Ones bundled Titanfall in. However, I think that this is sort of quite a cool thing because it's sold more than any of the past gen titles. And the past gen titles have together with PS3 and 360 almost 200 million. If you include the Wii, 250 something million install base. And then you've got the Xbox One at 7 million something, and the PS3 at 9 million something, like tiny numbers compared to those. And yet it outsold. It was at the top of the charts on top of all this other stuff. And it's not even on PS4, you know? So I think it can be called a success, despite what people say. So, anyway, that was just one sort of quick thing I wanted to bring up. But also, when we were speaking about GameSpy and EA shutting down servers, a very famous mod for Battlefield 2 called Project Reality, which is sort of making things super duper realistic. They've set up their own Battlefield 2 servers to cover the EA and GameSpy server shutdown. So if you want to go and play Battlefield 2, you still can. Go ahead. It's all good.
Cool. They have a Project Reality for just about every single moddable game, I've noticed. The Project Reality for Fallout 3 was huge.
That's true. Hey, Fallout news, by the way. Breaking news. Announcement was just made that there will be no Fallout 4 news at E3. So this was a lack of news.
The news is that there will be no news.
I know you guys are Fallout fans. I'm not, but you guys are. But
such a good game.
It's unfortunate for you. Harry, tell us about something cool this week.
So, well, it's far more long existing than just this week. Recently, I just discovered an old news article that's still valid, that the majority of missile silos in the US are still using floppy disks to store their launch codes. Now, I'm not talking about the 3.5-inch non-flexible floppy disks. I'm not even talking about the 5.25-inch. I'm talking about the big old 8-inch floppy disk squares that were like big as a small record. And that's literally where the US Army stores the majority of its launch codes. And
is anyone going to make a dick joke, or shall I just leave it?
Go for it, John.
No,
Go for it.
I'll let you keep going. I was trying to make it a counter to your mum joke from earlier. But then you said 3.5 and then like 5.5 and then 8.5 and I was like, oh, the joke's gone. I was going to make a small dick joke, but now you're talking about big numbers, so.
No, that's alright, that's alright. When you're editing the podcast, you can just kind of cut in at each of those lengths and just, it's not a 3.5-inch, just like my dick. It's not even a 5-inch, just like my dick. But this just completely destroys my understanding of, like, covert military operations. Because in the movies, you know, they have like some really sophisticated computer, but that's okay because the spy has an even more sophisticated hacking device. And so I can just imagine everyone kind of rushing into the nuclear silo. We must, you know, take over the mainframe. And where's the USB? What is this?
Quick.
Floppy disk.
Attach it via serial port and parallel port.
But I mean, I suppose that's actually a good thing because that definitely means like modern tech seems a lot more hackable these days.
Yeah, I think Tucker works for a big corporation that works with banks. I work with many large clients, IT-wise, and some governments. And if I know anything from these IT places, is when it comes to IT, they just go with what works. A lot of them still use Windows NT. A lot of them don't even use Windows. Like, I worked in a retail place when I was younger that just used DOS still. And this was in like 2004. They were still using just DOS-based POS systems.
Was that a news agency?
No, another place. Oh. But places like that, if a business is too scared to enhance their productivity with modern stuff, I can't imagine what the military is like, let alone the nuclear launch silos.
Yeah. But I wonder what the actual life expectancy on a floppy disk is, because a CD is only about 8 years, I think.
Well, it's magnetic, like, well, not like CDs. CDs are chemical. It's magnetic like zip drives and stuff. So,
yeah.
Maybe it could be up to 50 years.
Up to, but I think they'd probably want to replace it at least every 15 years, just in case the disc goes bad. And where do you buy that from? Like some collector on eBay or something?
That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, magnetic tape should be long enough as long as it's kept long enough. I mean, I'm sure it's not actual floppy disks, because floppy disks are like 5 years, but proper magnetic disks, I'm sure that's what they actually mean, right?
Yeah. I remember having this conversation with you and a few other of my tech-savvy friends back when I was playing Mass Effect. I wanted to save my custom character, but I wanted to save my custom character indefinitely. I didn't want to burn it to a disk, because the disk can go bad. I didn't want to put it on floppy, because floppy only lasts about 25, 30 years, absolute max. And it turns out that until we learn how to store data on like crystals or something, literally the best way to store something indefinitely is chiseling ones and zeros into the side of a rock.
Yeah, well, you know how I am about physical media.
Yeah. The cloud will definitely not last.
Yeah. Now you had further shit in your
list. I while searching for a good news article, I came across this thing that just made my head explode with WTF.
Before you go on, Harry, let me explain how he has written this into the show notes. He's gone, news for Harrison. Number 1, US missile silos use floppy disks. Number 2, what the fuck is this shit? And then a link to this. Go ahead.
And then John put after this, I cannot veto this link any harder. So in Paris at the moment, they are having an expo on, get this, Evangelion-inspired Japanese samurai swords. Now, this caught my eye since we had a bit of an Evangelion theme last podcast, but the show has nothing to do with samurai swords. There are no samurai swords in the entire thing. This is just foreign misunderstanding at its best. Oh, we like anime. We like Evangelion. What's a good expo? Oh, they're Japanese. What do Japanese people do? Oh, they have samurai swords. Let's just mash that together. And so all of a sudden, they've got all these pictures of, like, the characters of Evangelion holding samurai swords. And it's got nothing to do with anything.
But it is so awesome.
It is just so weird. And apparently it's drawing a huge crowd in Paris.
Would you guys go there?
What, to Paris? Yeah, sure.
Like you and Finney and Tucker, like, as Evangelion fans, like, would you go to a thing like that?
Just to see that they were in fact serious about this. I mean, I have gone to Evangelion expos in Sydney. I went to the showing of the third movie, and oh my god, the cosplay.
You guys.
Us guys.
I didn't even know what to say.
I just...
Listeners, there are nerds. And then...
Not associated with
And
this.
then there's us.
And then there are anime people. There's people
I
who
have never
dress up.
been to one of these expos. Do not associate me
That's
with
right,
such.
Finn. That's right, Finney. And in fact, Evangelion's probably like the only anime you've watched, right?
Yeah, it kind of burned my mind.
Yeah. So you're okay. You watch one thing, that's fine. But Tucker's been watching. You watch all the different ones, and Harry, you watch like Kill La Kill and all this stuff.
Yeah, I watched that as a parody, though. That is just ridiculous.
Sure you do.
So, listeners, just for your info, Kill La Kill is a ridiculous... It's like a parody of Sailor Moon, but instead of the Sailor Scouts transforming into their sexy school attire battle gear, the girls in Kill La Kill just transform into, like Slut Outfit 9000, revealing as much as possible.
Okay, I can't say I've watched this, but it is now on the list, because it sounds hilarious.
Do they have a really handsome guy dressed up in a suit with a rose?
No, they don't. Let me think. What have they got? They've got this really perverted teacher, because it's an anime. It's obviously got to be based at a school. So they have the freaky teacher that kind of, he switches between the personality of, like, that guy that holds the rose, but then every now and then he just breaks into just outright perverted weirdo.
Well, look, Callum Hilson's going to love this episode. Finney, what have you got for us this week?
My news article is that Google is making a 3D imaging tablet.
Go on.
So it's just as the name suggests, a tablet computer capable of taking 3D images. Google's put it into production. They've got 4,000 devices being manufactured, which they'll put out to select developers and like for testing, much like what they did with Google Glasses. But it's an interesting piece of kit. It's got two rear-facing cameras and advanced imaging software to help develop a 3D picture. They're showing it off at their upcoming developers conference.
Google I/O.
Is that what it's called?
Yeah. It's they have a good stream of it. You should watch it.
Could be worth it.
Yep.
Yeah, they're giving them out to 200 developers to try out. It's also got infrared sensors in it to measure the depth of surroundings to help add to the 3D nature of it. What their main thing, though, is they want it to use it to 3D map interior spaces. So someone could walk in your house with a tablet out and map a 3D image of it, which would probably get them kicked out very quickly. But it's an interesting piece of technology, considering they're cramming it into a bloody tablet. I mean, what else are they going to stick in there next?
Yeah, no, that's true. Do you know what the specs on the cameras are?
They haven't released any sort of detail on that yet. It's called Project Tango, and there's very little information on it, but it's probably sort of a response to Facebook's purchase of Oculus, because everything seems to be moving, like a virtual reality race has sort of been started as one of the things that the article said, and that they think it could be a response to that, trying to make a mobile device that, how do they put it, shares our sense of space and movement, that understands and perceives the world the same way we do, which is a lot of crock, but
Right.
This is advertising, it's legalized lying.
Right. Harry, what do you see as the use for this sort of thing?
Well, I was going to ask, Andrew, did they say anything about increasing production on 3D displays to go with these 3D cameras?
No, they don't have anything on that. There's very little information on the hardware itself. It just had the two, what was it? God. The forward-facing, for God's sake, the rear-facing cameras and the infrared sensors to measure the depth of the surroundings.
Right.
That was about all they had. A lot of it comes down to the software as well that they're building for it.
I see. Well, I have a 3D TV, and even then, if I don't have a more portable, handy 3D display, I really can't imagine using this. It would look fantastic, but I'm not going to set myself up in front of my TV with 3D glasses just to look at a picture that I took on a tablet. It's got to be more handy than that.
Yeah, well, okay, two things. The first thing is that the 3DS actually really does work well. No glasses, and it's a 3D image. It looks really good. Secondly, I do have a film degree. It's the one thing I do have in my life. And
it's the only thing that gives you any self-worth.
It's the only thing that gives me any self-worth. Despite my soon science hood, I hope.
That's not science.
IT is science. And you can make a 3D film at any time. Or you literally just need to put two cameras next to each other and then offset them slightly. This isn't, first off, this isn't some crazy, awesome technology, but I applaud Google for keep chucking things into devices where things shouldn't be. Like Google Glass, that shouldn't exist. And this shouldn't exist either, because you can't really think of a real reason for it, but who knows? That's just from our perspective. I mean, there could be ways in the future that this sort of thing could be used. What do you think, Finney?
Well, it's interesting. I suppose you could use it for, sort of architecture and interior design might be useful for it to, like you walk in, so someone buys a brand new house and you're an interior designer and you walk in and take a whole heap of 3D images of it, take them back to your office, develop the images, and then you've got a much more interactive image to deal with. So I think it could be useful to someone like that, because that way you've got a lot more detail and a lot more ability to manipulate it without actually being there.
That's true. Fitting?
So the whole
Sorry,
two camera thing making 3D images. I saw a bloke at the Snow last year with two cameras on his chest who was filming in 3D, which is rather interesting.
Yeah. What they need is a large screen display with something like Samsung eyewear that can track people going through a room, and you know how they've got like parallax technology, ways to present a 3D image based on where the viewer's eyes are. You've read about that, guys?
Yes.
Yeah, so they could track where the person is and adjust its parallax appropriately. And basically that would allow for essentially like a 3D painting or artwork on a wall. That would look pretty awesome.
You've just described the Kinect, Harry.
Really? Have I now?
The Kinect's got 4 cameras and an infrared camera on top of that. And that's exactly what it does.
Yeah, but I've never seen it used to that exact effect.
No, but it can be used for that exact
Okay,
effect.
because I would love to see, like, every household has a family portrait or something on a wall. Imagine if that family portrait was in 3D. That would be some freaky stuff.
I guess so. I suppose. Tucker, do you live with your family?
No.
Harry, do you live with your family?
No, I do not.
John, do you live with your family? No. Finney, would that be creepy as dicks or not?
Oh, shit, yeah.
Andrew, I can see your parents putting that thing up as soon as the technology is made available. They would be all
And I
over
could
it.
see me ripping it down, throwing it in the pool, and then setting it on fire.
And then moving out promptly after.
Yes.
I'll
This
just
is
be
what
waiting
you
for
get
that.
when you put weird shit on the wall. I move out, Mum and Dad.
And they're both standing there going, yes, the plan worked!
All along, and she's sitting there steepling her fingers in a triangle fashion.
Yeah, I just want to see some sort of hack where, as you're walking past it, their eyes follow you ever so creepily.
Ooh!
That would be weird.
That'd be cool.
Speaking of hacks, Tucker, what have you got for us this week?
Yes. So I stumbled across this whilst browsing the internet. And apparently
We all did!
It was on BBC World News, for God's sake.
How did you get it? Morse code?
No, I read it in the paper.
I got this via telegram. Many Bothans died to bring me this information.
Okay, so, as I was saying, So yeah, apparently Blizzard is suing the creators of a pretty notorious map hack, which is best.
Right.
Attack.
Explain specifically for what game. And
Okay.
So,
In StarCraft 2, there's a map hack called, let me find my...
Where is my telegram?
Okay, so, no, because I never used it, so that's why I don't know what it's called, but, Valiant Chaos map hack. So I think the idea it allowed, the hacker, or cheater, dirty cheater, see your invis units, and, in StarCraft 2 you got the concept of fog of war. So if you don't have units there, you can't see what's there until you move into it.
Mm-hmm.
So the map hack allowed you to see in the fog of war, as well as the invisible. So I now have an excuse for every time I lost John to,
Yeah, the entire time it was map hacks.
Exactly, this is why I'm in bronze.
Yeah.
Because of map apps.
Yeah, that's true. No, you and I are in gold now. We're good boys, finally.
Yes.
After 2 years.
So they're suing them over making this cheat map.
No,
really?
Yeah, they are suing him. Which is interesting because most time when you hear about any sort of hacking thing, it's always a criminal lawsuit.
Yes.
Whereas in this case, it's a civil.
Yeah, so they're suing them, Harry, not because if they just released the map hack, that's fine, but they're charging $58 for this map hack. So they're suing them because it's ruining the integrity of the one thing StarCraft 2 has, which is its multiplayer online ladder competitiveness. And, it's being ruined, and so they're suing them for damages. Yeah. And they're not really suing for damages because Blizzard has all the money in the world. They're suing them to, scare other cheaters, really.
Although I'm not sure if they're specifically charging it. I think the amount of money is paid is actually entry to the forum that, lists this.
Yeah, but effectively, they're charging.
Yeah, so they are paying for it.
They're charging for cheats.
So they literally pay to win.
Yeah, and Valve did that a few years ago. There was a way around the VAC, the Valve anti-cheating thing, for Counter-Strike, and Valve sued a few people. So it's not unheard of at all.
That's the first time I heard of it, but I mean, Valve's very, aggressive when it comes to this. Like, if you're so much as caught with a single hack, like, that's your account locked, possible banning and lose everything, so.
Speaking of, Valve, actually, this isn't the notes, but sort of breaking news, half breaking news, came out yesterday. The guy who created Counter-Strike and has left Valve, and gonna create a new game called Insurgency, he recently went for a tour at Valve and then did a interview, afterwards. And, first off, he said that he's seen concept art for Half-Life 3. So, we all knew they were working on it anyway. And two, apparently Left 4 Dead 3 is really far along. So,
do we know if it's on the Source 2 engine?
No, brand new engine.
No, it'd be Source 3.
Brand new engine, they said.
Source 3, sorry, my bad.
Well, what he said, his words were brand new engine, so I don't know if that means Source 3 or brand new.
A brand new engine.
So,
I think the last bit of news we heard was just that confirmation of Left 4 Dead 3 and Half-Life 3. Like, someone took a picture and then of the, I think it was a blackboard or whiteboard, and like in the corner, there's probably a Scrum or Sprint note saying, this and this and this. So.
LFD3.exe.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, no, it was a tour last year or something, so everyone had a rumor about it, but then this guy pretty much just confirmed it this week when he went for another tour. So,
just to confirm, he used to work at Valve and then he went for a tour.
He created Counter-Strike.
Yeah.
When I say tour, I guess he went visiting.
Oh, okay, so you just dropped by. All right.
Yeah.
About to say, it's like, what part of the office didn't you go to when you worked there?
Yeah, no, but he left Valve 2 years ago or something.
Oh, okay.
Before they started working.
I thought it was recent.
So, anyway. Okay, well, my news is a bit of a downer. So, we'll talk about it before we, get into what we've been playing. A big, this is, gonna get a little serious. So, a big, personality in, but not just the gaming community, but the esports community and, general games journalism community, the streaming community. Also, like, one of the biggest YouTube channels, and one of the first big guys to make money from YouTube. John Bain, Total Biscuit, has, about a month ago, was diagnosed with there was sort of a malignant mass in his colon, and, he just went for surgery yesterday, or the day before, and they can't remove it, and it looks like it's full-blown cancer. Now, the reason I wanted to talk about this was not only the reason I want to talk about this was because not only is he a big guy in the gaming industry, but he is, there's an element to this that I'd like to speak about. So he, this sounds like an obituary already, because he's not dead and he says he's going to fight it and the doctors are very optimistic. But that aside, I want to sort of tell people out there to be a lot nicer on the internet to other people who you don't know, because there's something that when Total Biscuit, a few years ago, when he was stuck in England and his wife was in America and he couldn't get to America because of visa reasons and he was losing money from his job and all this sort of stuff, he was feeling very down and very depressed, and he lashed out on the internet and told someone to get cancer and die. And now he's getting cancer and dying, which is terrible. And he's talked to this other guy, and it's water under the bridge for both of them. But the whole idea is, obviously he was in a bad place then and was lashing out on the internet. And if you're in a bad place, us judging you for what you say on the internet is the least of your problems. You really should be talking to somebody. But when it comes to what you say on the internet when you are feeling happy and healthy in the rest of your life, it would be great if everybody could just chill out a little bit. Not troll so hard, not be so callous and have such vitriol for game developers and for personalities in the gaming community, or even for your fellow commenter on Reddit or on 4chan or on IGN or whatever it is. Really put yourself out in there to the world to make the world a better place rather than trying to fuck shit up all the time. And that's sort of what Total Biscuit's feeling bad about now, is that he's been this, his company is called Cynical Brit. He's been this cynical guy for so long. And it's not that all of a sudden he's going to change, because in all likelihood, look, he might be fine, he might not die, but if he leaves the world with this legacy over the past 10 years of his life on the internet of just trolling people and being angry and getting into arguments on the internet, it would be a very sad thing for that to be his legacy. And so I think we should all use this opportunity to think about what we put out into the world and whether we could make it a better place or not. On top of that, just briefly, I just want to mention that everybody should, if you have a problem, like colon problem, whether it's embarrassing or not, please go see a doctor. This is not a old person a disease, colon cancer or bowel cancer. This is something young people can get. Total Biscuit's like 28 or 29. So even though it's embarrassing, please get it checked, because the only reason he possibly is dying now is because he left it for too long, because it was too embarrassing. So definitely do go get it checked. So that's all I had. Sorry.
That's deep. That's deep as bro. That is sad. I personally have lost family members to cancer as well, so it's not a pretty thing. And the other thing that it seriously took the death of a family member before I realized that the media is full of shit when it comes to cancer, because they're always bugging scientists for some miracle breakthrough cure. And so the scientists will be like, well, in our studies, we learned that there's this extra chromosome. Extra chromosome cancer has been cured! Headlines. When, it's not that simple.
It's like they're saying they've cured physics. I mean, they kind of can't cure cancer, really. It's
a genetic disorder.
So many different things, so many different variables and elements to go wrong. So anyway, this isn't the cancer podcast. So we'll move on, but just wanted to, get that out there and let people know that, one, it'd be nice to do, fellow man, on the internet, because you're not anonymous anymore. Everyone knows who you are.
Google knows who you are.
And two, if you do have any problems, please go get them checked by the doctor. Now, Tucker just brought in some breaking news in the middle of all that. The Dota 2 International prize pool is now up to 10k.
No, it went up by 10k.
Oh.
I was like, that's down.
Yeah, no, I was thinking 10k, 10 million. I just read that wrong.
Don't you mean the Dota 2 Internation?
Yeah, he spelled it wrong. That's the second time.
International. International.
Yeah,
well, I was trying to type. I was trying to type quietly because I've got a mechanical keyboard which sounds like this.
It's two people with mechanical keyboards on this podcast.
Yeah, so if you're on a podcast, you go like really sneaky about like one key per 5 seconds and make sure you like ever so slightly touch it.
We need a keyboard that's not from the 1990s.
Hey Tucker, how great is it to have a mechanical keyboard?
Oh, it's like the best thing ever. See that? It's like orgasm with my fingertips. Just sounds so good.
Now, I wanted to, before we move on to what we've been playing this week, I wanted to quickly discuss the new USB design for the next generation of USB. They've just released they've said for about 6 months to a year now that the new version of USB is going to be reversible, because that's the worst part of USB, is it's not universal serial bus at all. You always plug it in wrong the first time, so it's reversible like a lightning cable. And so for ages, people have been thinking, oh, well, what else can they do? That's reversible, like you can do both ways. That is not exactly the same as a lightning cable. For those who don't know, lightning cable, bit of metal sticking out, connectors on both sides of the metal. And then they just came out this week with their, or 2 weeks ago, with their mock-up, their sort of 3D design for what it's going to look like. And it is, if you imagine like micro USB, like which one's the really thin one? Is that micro or mini?
Micro. Mini's huge.
Okay, so imagine that, but about half the width, and then inside it, it's a rectangle, and then inside it is the tiny little metal part that's got connectors on both sides. That, from what the mock-up looks like, it looks like the most flimsy thing on earth. That makes me think, because phones will have that, right? On the bottom of their thing, and lint will get in it. It looks like the worst connector in the entire world. And, I mean, the lightning connector could have gone very badly for Apple when they made that, but if Apple's good at one thing, it's hardware design. And USB is meant to be cheap and be made by everybody, so I don't expect good build quality from anyone. What do you think, Harry?
Well, it's going to have to be really good because they're going to have to use it. Even Apple is going to have to use it, especially now that they've passed the law in Europe that all phones by 2017, I believe it is, must use the same connector. That either means that Apple has to release copyright on Thunderbolt and every phone uses Thunderbolt, or you get the iPhone 6 with this connector type. Otherwise, they can't legally sell it in Europe.
Lightning, you mean?
Yeah.
Not lightning, not
Thunderbolts. It's all the same.
Yeah, I think I'm looking at a concept picture of it at the moment. It seems to be like the actual cable itself is like a female adapter, and the device will have the male end. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, I'm betting that the moment someone gets this, snap.
Yeah.
There's going to like jam it in,
so
and yeah, I don't trust it. No. I would think probably having the male connector into the female is probably better, but yeah, I just see this snapping.
Well, they're going to have to use it, so let's hope they test it. They'll make it some kind of quality. Plus, this is just a mock-up picture, so it might change. They might make it like a deeper plug than that.
Yeah, you're right. It might change, but I mean, so USB is terrible, and it's always been terrible. And so I don't
the Apple fanboy.
No, Apple fanboy not. USB is universally known as terrible. It's one, okay, you can't put it in either direction. Two, it slows down your transfer if your computer is under load. What kind of transfer is that? Also, go buy any USB stick these days, even if it's USB 3, supposedly really fast. It's like the world's slowest thing to transfer, despite it being flash. It's the worst connector that has ever been designed. However, it's the cheapest, and so that's why it became popular. I guess I can't complain, because...
No, it's all these things because it's universal. It works on Mac, it works on PC, it works on Linux, it works on anything.
It
does the job.
It works on everything because it is cheap. They had to support it because everybody else wants it. They had to put iTunes on Windows because there's more Windows than Macs. It's as simple as that. So this isn't a Mac versus USB fucking debate. This is just like, I don't trust the USB people to make a good fucking connector because they haven't yet made one. Anyway.
Alright.
See, for once I'm siding with John. This looks like there are problems.
Yeah.
Look,
there is a serious design flaw. They need to consider this again.
We will see.
Anyway, so that aside, Harry, what have you been playing correctly and or incorrectly this week?
I got a cracker of a game this week. It's probably the funniest game I have ever played. Listener, I will let you guess to see if this flags any alarm bells in your head. The maker of this game is Clive Barker. The title of this game is Clive Barker's Jericho, and it is hilariously bad. It is the worst game. It is aggressively bad. And I saw this for sale, physical media, for $5 at a game exchange place. I ran in there going, oh, I've heard no end of bad things about this game. I have to get it. And the checkout girl her head just exploded. Like, wait, you think it's bad and you want to buy it? I don't understand.
Did you remember?
No, she was too confused by my existence, basically. This game was made probably early 2000s, I imagine. No, actually late 2000s. I think it was like 2007, in fact. It's a squad first-person shooter, and the reason it's bad is not because it's a low-budget game. It's not bad because the enemies are stupid and stock standard. It's not even bad because no one's lip sync works with the voice acting. It's bad because the game thinks that it is the greatest creation sent by God upon the PC gaming master race. It thinks it is just the shit. The entire squad are all like, and they combine as many titles as they can. They're all like monk, warrior, ninja, shaman, knight, exorcist, priest, malarkey. They just throw all these words and the game thinks it is deep as. Perhaps, actually I know what I can do to get this message across to everyone. I'll read you the intro on a few of these characters. So, you play as Captain Ross, and he is a psychic healer and the squad captain. Now he gets killed like within the first few minutes of the game, and his soul kind of transfers from one squad member to the rest, and so you can play as a number of different people. And that's actually a really cool mechanic. It's pointless because all the enemies just charge straight into the squad, and it's a complete dog's breakfast regardless. You're always shooting allies, and it's just a laugh. But next in command is Father Paul. He is a dual-wielding priest, exorcist, alcoholic, with this hilarious American accent. Then you've got Church. She is a blood mage and wards master who has two massive gaps in her ninja-like latex armor, showing off her side boobs. She has no other gaps in her armor anywhere. And she stands in... You guys played Mortal Kombat?
Yes.
Mm.
Yeah, so if you're not moving the character, the Mortal Kombat character just does this kind of rock back and forth, looking like they're energetic.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that's what she does, kind of holding her hand with her swords, and the jiggle physics is just ridiculous as she's standing there doing nothing. Then you've got Black. She is a lesbian telekinetic sniper specialist. And her sniper rifle, its workings is pulled straight out of the Warhammer 40k universe. It's basically a sniper bolter.
Harry.
Yes?
Harry.
Yes.
Jara Jet is what they're called.
This is the longest that anybody has talked about Clive Barker's Jericho. Ever.
I'm just fascinated by how this game is so content with itself. It's actually, if you go in there knowing that this game is going to be the worst thing ever, you will have a blast playing it. I recommend to anyone and everyone, go and buy the game. You will need to buy a legacy patch for the PhysX, otherwise you'll just crash the desktop as soon as you run it. But seriously, go buy the game. It's funny. It's stupid funny. It talks itself up like it's got a universe as deep as Mass Effect, and the one-liners coming from these shallow characters will just have you rolling off the chair laughing.
This game, the reason it was universally panned is because Clive Barker is a well-known horror author and a very good one. He wrote Hellraiser, which was turned into, big series of movies. Candyman series, which was also turned into big series of movies. Very famous English author. And very good. And then the game came out. And,
beyond words, I know.
I don't even. I mean, I was 17 when that game came out, and I knew nothing about the world. But if I knew one thing, it was that Clive Barker's Jericho was not a game, period.
It is certainly a game. You pull the trigger and the mans fall down. The generic mans that keep on spawning in like absolute cannon fodder. This game has really good concepts that are executed so badly. All of the concepts, in fact. The graphics look pretty. They're just terribly optimized.
It looks like Doom 3.
Yeah, it does look like Doom 3. But in Doom 3, you never see any friendly characters clogging up the screen. In this one, you're always shooting your allies. There's just no stopping it. The squad base, having each person have all these ridiculous specialties, again, great idea. You could really use that in advantage, kind of like Mass Effect style or something. But it doesn't work like that because the generic copy-paste enemies just charge straight into the middle of your squad every single time, and you end up blowing half your squad to hell before you finally kill someone. It's a mess. It is an absolute glorious mess of a game. It's broken and jarring, and I just did not stop laughing.
But is it worth the $5 that you spent?
$5 well spent.
Jesus. Finny, please have something better than Clive Barker's Jericho by Clive Barker to talk about.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, from the ridiculous to the sublime, I have been playing Transistor this week.
Yay!
Ooh.
Tell us why Transistor is one of the best games of this year, and why it is the best game of this year.
Wouldn't go that far, because the year's not young. First off, I didn't play Bastion. I've never played anything by the... Hang on, who made it? Supergiant Games. I've never played any of their games before, so I'm going into this completely blind. It's a top-down, semi-turn-based action RPG, and it is utterly sublime. I don't actually know where to begin on why I like it so much. I haven't played
the mechanics first, maybe.
So it's a top-down, so you look down on your character as she runs across the screen. You fight using a giant sword that looks much like a circuit board. It's got different functions that you put into it, so you've got a list of 4 attacks that you can use at any one time in a fight. You can use them in real time, so run up to your enemy and bash them with a sword. You can also press spacebar, which times it out. You have a certain number of moves you can perform whilst timed out, and then when you press, you stack up your moves. You then press spacebar again, play resumes, and then the character Red runs up and does all the actions you've told her to do. So it's an interesting mix of real-time and turn-based gameplay, which works really well. One of the parts that's so good is the different functions that you can get and put into the sword, which give you different attacks. They're actually people, because the games, you're in like a computer simulation, sort of. And so everyone, when they die, their programming is released from their body. So even your attack moves in this have character and story to them. They're not just attack moves. They've got their own little part in the lore of it all. The art style of the game is amazing. It's a very immersive world. The art style is just gorgeous. Some of the scenes where you see like the whole city of Cloudbank in the background. Cloudbank, I don't know if it's actually called that, but Cloudbank, sorry. Cloudbank is the name of the city. It's just stunning, what the city looks like and the backdrops. The artists have gone to absolutely all lengths to make this game as good looking as they can. The character designs are incredibly good as well. Not just like the player characters in it. Like Red's design is very good, but the enemy designs, they're varied. They're very interesting. Each enemy performs a very different function, which makes combat very, very challenging at times. The story of it, you're thrown in quite abruptly to the story, so you're not 100% sure what's going on until a fair way in, but it is very engaging. It gets to you quite easily, I found. It drew me into the world, the characters, and everything that happens. The characters themselves, strangely, you know surprisingly little about them. It's revealed further on, but they're actually very deep and meaningful characters. So you get drawn into them quite easily as well. Like, massive AAA titles that have tried to pull this off have failed spectacularly, but this $20 indie game pulls it off without even trying, which is just stunning. The the combat is very challenging. I'm not really used to this sort of style, so people who probably play Bastion or other similar games would find this a lot easier than what I would, but I found it to be a little bit too unforgiving at times. So that's my first gripe against it, in that that could just me being terrible at the game, though I just keep getting my ass handed to me. At the beginning, the tutorial is extraordinarily brief on the different mechanics. Once again, this just could be me not being familiar with the game style, but I took a long time to understand what was going on, and I haven't finished it yet, but I'm still sort of struggling to understand how all of the different mechanics work and the upgrades and that. They're coming to me, but it's taking a long time.
It is quite different to Bastion, just so you know. Bastion was a bit more of a hack and slash, sort of, quite a bit more simple than Transistor is, yeah. So, the thing I'm hearing from people is that it is not at all what people expected when they went in gameplay-wise. It is a bit more complicated, and it sounds like that's been your experience.
It is. So far it's been amazing, though. One of the best things that I can say is the game is full of small features which they didn't have to put in there at all. They don't add anything to the gameplay, but they do make the game a lot more immersive, just generally better. Like, one of the things is Red has lost her voice, and the narrator is because there's a man trapped inside the saw that you're carrying around with you. He's one of the characters stuck inside of it. And he narrates everything for you, because Red has lost her voice. And there is the function, because the other thing is the soundtrack is absolutely astonishing. And at any point in time you can press tab and Red will start humming along to whatever the song playing at the time is. And it's just one of those small things the developers put in there. They didn't have to. It has no practical purpose in the game whatsoever. It doesn't do anything, but it's just nice that it's there. There's other small scenes similar to that, which add nothing to the story, have no sort of relevance to the gameplay or anything, but they add a lot of depth to it, which makes it really, really good. The only sort of disappointing part about it is, so far I've heard it's quite short, which is disappointing, but I only paid $20 for it, so I'm not really going to complain about the game length when it didn't cost much.
Yeah, it's about the question, sort of.
I could not recommend it more. It's utterly sublime. And nothing I say can do justice for it.
You definitely like it, Tucker, because when he said functions, he means literally functions, coding. For example, your turn, when you press turn, it's called turn bracket bracket. I mean, out of all of us here, you and I are the people who know a little bit of coding, and that tickled me when I saw that, and I'm sure it would tickle you. So definitely check it out, at the very least for that. But if you liked Bastion, it is if you like Diablo, it's like Diablo, but really deep and with a better story, and with much deeper gameplay mechanics. Would that be a good way to describe it, you'd say, Finney?
Yeah, there's a very, very heavy emphasis on the gameplay in this. From what I've read of Bastion's gameplay wasn't nearly as in-depth or as complicated as this, because the story is told a lot through obviously through the gameplay, but it's very intense in how it works. I keep getting annihilated in the combat because I don't understand it properly yet, but hopefully I'll be able to figure that out eventually.
Yeah, well, glowing recommendation there from Finney. So everybody, please check out Transistor, about $20 on Steam, on PC. If you're a console peasant, I don't know how much it'll be on there. I don't even know if it's on console. But I'll let you figure that out, because you're not listening to this because you don't have a PC.
John, you just called yourself a peasant.
What are you talking about? You own a console and a PC. I own both.
I own the last gen console.
That's true. No, okay, so you're less of a peasant because I own the new console and you own the old one?
Yes. Don't ask how that works.
I won't at all. Tucker, what have you been playing different this week?
First of all, insert some sort of, Church of Gabe Newell reference. Probably appropriate, but I couldn't think of one. Unfortunately...
Okay. Hold on, stop. We've been, this entire time Finney was talking, these two, Harry and Tucker, have been posting pictures of Gabe Newell, CEO of Valve, in various compromising positions into the chat, and Tucker seems to think that our listeners can see that chat.
No. It was going to be kind of inside joke, and hopefully people would also understand it, being PC Master Race. What up?
I'm totally deleting this section.
Axe.
Moving
ahead.
on.
Go ahead.
Okay, yes, moving on. Unfortunately, I haven't played any new games this week because
damn it.
What a
Tucker.
fucking surprise!
I'm trying to finish my backlog of existing games so I can play new games such as Watch Dogs.
That's
I can't just switch between like 6 or 8 different games like John does because then you lose, the immersion in the story and stuff, and I like just playing it all the way through.
What happens when you get bored, though, with a particular game? What do you do?
Then I will finish that game as quickly as possible and move on to the next game.
See, I can't do that.
No, it's illogical. Just play it, finish it, next game, play it, finish it, next game, play it, finish it. Not, I'll jump between different games and then come back and think, oh, fuck, what the hell happened?
Games are so long.
Yeah, I know.
I got to side with Tucker on this one. It's actually good to finish a game.
I know, trust me, I want to finish games, but sometimes I'm in the mood for some Battlefield, and sometimes I'm in the mood for some StarCraft, and I don't want to go and finish Dragon Age 2, which I tried to finish 4 years ago, and now finally want to finish.
Yeah, no, but I agree. Look, I have my usual go-to multiplayer games, like Dota 2, LoL, and Battlefield, now Titanfall, but then I'm not going to, start a new campaign-based game until I finish the existing one. So at the moment, I'm trying to finish Last of Us because, A, it's fucking amazing. And they've done a really good job of making an immersive environment.
Except for the gameplay. I wasn't there for that episode when you guys were talking about it. I'm the only other one who played it. Last of Us has a piece of shit gameplay system and an awesome story. Anyway, that's my review. What I've been playing this week. Wildstar. Wildstar, I was invited to the closed beta about 3 months ago. And then the open beta happened, about 2 weeks ago or a week ago, something like that. And so I've been playing quite a bit of it. I'll go up to about level 15, level 20, and with 2 different characters. And I'm going to look at it from 2 perspectives. First perspective is someone who's never played an MMO before. And that is, the quests are awesome. The graphics are awesome. The movement is awesome. It's not like MMO movements like Terra where it's an action sort of game. The enemy design's awesome. Everything is really funny and sort of Wild West sort of looking. So it's like, it feels like Borderlands quite a bit. It's got that sort of sense of humor and that sort of feel with the sci-fi, system. So it's got that tone. But, there's lots I need to say about what it actually is.
John, before you go any further, I have no knowledge of Wildstar, so I just Googled it. And can you please explain to me the very first image that came up on Google image search? I'm seeing some girl in flimsy attire with bunny rabbit ears. Oh, is this the game you're talking about?
Is it the one that says Wildstar Wednesday, meet the Orin?
What the?
Is that one where it's like Wildstar on the bottom right?
Yep.
With the blue hair?
That is creepy.
That looks like Terra Online, only slightly more,
creepy.
Slightly more creepy.
Well, click on one of the other pictures. Instead of the one, go straight to the one with the girl.
I am intrigued. I am very intrigued.
Already, anyway.
Need to see that.
Anyway. To someone who's new to MMOs, never played an MMO before, I'm sure it's very exciting. However, the questing. Way too many pointless fetch quests. Thrown together story. Place, nothing really stands out, and I don't really want to grind. Which it sounds funny, but grinding's actually a fun thing in the right context. Diablo's an example of that. Wildstar's a bit more of a proof that the genre in a whole is stuck in like the let's copy WoW rut. They don't offer enough for to drag people away from WoW. I mean, little things like you can't sell all your grey items in one click. Mob drops have no relevance to your class. You're not contributing anything to your faction. 10 years after WoW, and MMOs are still being churned out like WoW. And I don't know, I just have the feeling that this thing's going to be free to play by December.
That's sad.
So it looks really cool, but they just didn't, and it's humorous and it's well written and funny, but they just didn't do enough gameplay wise to justify anything. So, bit of a review there, sad review about Wildstar. I know, I'm sure a lot of you are excited. And look, it may end up being different down the road, so do a free trial. But definitely don't subscribe straight away, I'd say. Now, very briefly, Harry and Finney and I decided this week to try something different and play a co-op game. And so we played the 2012 Tom Clancy's Ghost Recon Future Soldier. Harry, how many civilians did you kill with your shotgun?
Well, it wasn't a distinct number. We just kept on getting a game over with, you have killed too many civilians.
I wouldn't call it a number. I'd call it a particular race or an ethnic group.
Yes. How many people did you kill? Asians.
Exactly. So you killed 3.5 billion people. This game it was actually surprisingly fun. In case you don't know, Ghost Recon games, stealth games, super fun times. So what happens when you have a stealth game but you can't control the two other players in the game? Like, I couldn't control Harry and Finney. Finney was very good. He followed what I said. He shot people when it was appropriate. And Harry, well, kind of.
You give me an order and I go in the other direction.
That's fine, but you at least didn't bring a shotgun to a stealth mission.
That's what the option was there for. Precisely.
How many times did you use it, Harry?
I literally used it once.
One of the objectives was to run up and to a plane. No, to shoot a plane down from afar. And he ran up to the plane as it was taking off. He goes, lol, shotguns, and just gets run over by the plane. Like he's playing this game like it's Call of Duty or Halo or something. Anyway, it was fun, though. It was definitely
It did make for a really fun experience.
It was definitely fun. And Tucker, you need to buy this game. It's only $20 on Steam.
We'll gift it to him. We'll gift it to him.
Yeah, well, you guys can give this one, seeing as
we'll do.
For you guys. Yeah, no, it's really great fun, and if you listeners are looking for a fun co-op game, I would definitely recommend it. It is one of the good fun experiences co-op that I've had recently, so I'd recommend it.
It's a giant laugh.
It was. My friends, my fellow co-hosts, is there anything else for our lovely group of listeners this week?
I'll give you a warning for next week's podcast. The game that I'm playing is freaking weird, so be prepared for a very long and strange game review.
Can you give us a hint as to what it is?
Sentient wood people.
What?
Exactly.
Completely uninformed.
You mean
right
that's
now.
what it's called? Or
no, it's not.
It contains sentient
I'm not going to
people.
tell you what it is, because otherwise you'll go looking for it.
It's not like a Lord of the Rings game, is it?
No.
Oh, that's not a bad idea. There's that new Lord of the Rings game coming out. What's it?
That actually looks good.
Shadows of Mordor.
Shadows of Mordor, yeah.
And it's only $50 on Steam right now. Which I was thinking, $50, that's weird.
But if I pirate it, it'll be free.
Yeah, well, it's probably Ubisoft, isn't it? So it's probably gonna have Uplay.
No, not Uplay.
Every game is either Uplay, Origin, or Steam these days, so you can't really
Just-
you can't pirate things anymore.
No. Clive Barker's Jericho. No DRM.
Yeah. Oh dear. Well, we'll also have, as we said, because Watch Dogs is obviously one of the biggest AAA games of the year, well, of the past 4 years, because we've all been waiting for it since E3, many years ago. We will dedicate an entire section to, talking about Watch Dogs next week, so, look forward to that. Apologies we couldn't do it this week. Other than that, thank you for joining us for Uninformed. Please subscribe to us on iTunes, YouTube, or wherever you prefer to get your podcasts. There'll be a new one every Tuesday. If you'd like us, please leave a review. And if you've got some ideas for future podcasts, go ahead and tweet us at uninformednews or email us at uninformedpodcast@gmail.com. Thank you to my lovely co-hosts for joining me this week. I'm John Clive.
I'm Harrison Lake.
Andrew Finn.
And I'm Matt Tucker.
And then John was a zombie.